Good news for gamers with a bad case of DualSense stick drift. Bad news for viewers who don't like unhinged, obscenity-loving game developers. This is SVG News, and you're not going to want this rollercoaster ride to end.
It has an ending, but that ending is that the roller coaster crashes and you fly into the sky and get up into space, and when you're in space, you're like, what the am I doing up here?
It's safe to say that analog sticks aren't new to gaming. These inputs have appeared on tons of controllers over the years, and most of the time, console generations come and go without much fuss about them. That hasn't been the case recently though, as both Nintendo and Microsoft have come under fire for analog stick defects in their controllers. Now the PlayStation brand is joining this prestigious club, with Sony becoming the latest company to be sued over something called No, it's called stick drift. For those who need a brief refresher, stick drift occurs when an analog stick registers movement on its own without any player input. This can lead to some unfortunate circumstances, a character moving in a game when you don't intend them to, for example, or a cursor moving around in a menu as you try to make a selection. A few days back, word got around that litigation over stick drift in the PS5's DualSense controller was a real possibility. Fans weren't very happy that the relatively new DualSense was already having this issue. Yesterday, IGN reported that a lawsuit had indeed been filed in the Southern District of New York. All because of No, because of stick drift. Anyway, according to IGN, which obtained a copy of the suit, a law firm called Crimacles Schwartz, Kreiner and Donaldson Smith is bringing the litigation forward. If that rather lengthy name sounds familiar, it may be because this same firm also filed a lawsuit against Nintendo for the same thing in 2019. The DualSense suit reportedly calls the controller defective and slams Sony for making customers jump through hoops in order to get help with the issue. The firm pushing the suit hopes to secure, quote, monetary relief for damages suffered, as well as, quote, declaratory relief and public injunctive relief. It'll be interesting to see if this DualSense lawsuit ends up in front of a jury. That is, if things even get that far. Sony could hope the suit gets hashed out in arbitration, or it could try to settle the issue before it becomes a more protracted affair. Regardless, it seems that the problem isn't going away anytime soon, with Sony now joining the ranks of companies that have been sued over
fish sticks.
Hazelight Studios has a solid resume of titles, including Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, aka Tearjerker the Game.
Stop crying, stop crying.
I'm not crying!
Stop crying.
I'm not crying!
The studio seems to have another potential winner on its hands with It Takes Two. However, while studio founder, game director, and infamous Oscars hater Joseph Fares
Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay. The Oscars, you know?
has made some big promises about It Takes Two, there's a decent chance that most gamers won't even see the new game through to the end. In a recent interview with Game Informer, Fares claimed that fewer gamers are actually completing the majority of the games they purchase. Fares said, I know people came up to me and said, wow, it's fantastic that 51% of players in Hazelight's A Way Out finished the game. And they told me that's an extremely high percentage number. But actually, it saddens me. That means that 49% of people didn't finish it. It's not something I should be happy about. And you know what? That checks out, especially given Fares' previous comments to Jeff Keighley at the 2017 Game Awards.
I'm telling you, like, if you play the game from the beginning to the end, and you see what it is, it's impossible you don't like it.
Fares expressed his belief that there is a mass psychosis going on that is keeping people from actually finishing games. He explained to Game Informer that the majority of developers these days are focusing mainly on perfecting the first half of a game because, quote, they know that's what people will play. Because of this, he thinks that gaming journalists need to stop discussing the prospect of replayability altogether, at least until this issue is resolved. On that same token, it seems that Fares is confident that he and his team have cracked the code with It Takes Two. He boasted to Game Informer, it's impossible to get tired of this game. He was so sure about this that he offered $1,000 to anyone who could honestly claim to be bored with It Takes Two. Seriously, Fares clarified, quote, $1,000, I guarantee, but they have to be honest about it. Of course, there are plenty of reasons why people may have trouble finishing a new game, including lack of free time and other daily stressors. Back in 2011, Kotaku reported that a very small percentage of people actually finish massive games like Red Dead Redemption, and it seems like that continues to be an issue for many gamers. It Takes Two follows the exploits of a married couple who are turned into dolls and must learn to love and trust each other again. Whether it earns you $1,000 or not, the co-op title will be released on March 26th for PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S.
Why'd you look like a blob of clay?
Wanna change back? Then you need to fix your relationship!